All right, welcome everyone to Tips from the Trenches. And this is the first of two panels of students sharing what's working and what isn't working for them so far this school year. And we'll have another webinar featuring students on September 22nd. So we encourage you to put that on your calendar as well. And we're super excited about the students who have joined us today to share their experiences. And one of them just started school this week. One started about a week ago, and another started about a month ago. So there's a lot of varying perspectives among them. In fact, also all of their districts are learning in a little bit different way. So we think this will be a very valuable overview of different student feelings and thoughts around the start of school here. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my slide so that I can introduce our panelists today. Hey, everybody, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us again today. And I wanted to start out by introducing Eli Grabowski. Eli is from Maine, and he's going to talk a little bit about himself in a minute. Joining us also is Kayley Watson from California and Ryan Ruby from Florida. So why don't we go ahead and have the three of you introduce yourselves, talk about what grade you're in and where you go to school, and then we'll move on from there.
Hello, my name is Eli Grabowski. I am a junior at Kennebunk High School in Maine.
Hi, my name is Kayley Watson, and I am a junior at Kenyatta Middle College in California.
Hello, I'm Ryan Ruby. I'm a sophomore at Lincoln High School, and this is my mom, Tippy Ruby.
Hi. Awesome. Thank you all. And thanks so much for taking out your time to, again, share your thoughts and experiences. It's been a crazy year, hasn't it? It's been quite an odd year for all of you, as well as for your teachers and your families. I know the spring was crazy and chaotic, and then you all had a summer. So I wanted to start out by first getting a sense of what all you were feeling as as the school year was approaching. This fall. What were you feeling? Nervous, excited, confused, eager to get back into it? What was your state of mind going into coming into the start of school? So we'll always go in the same order: Eli, Kayley, and Ryan.
Okay, so as always, it came kind of fast. Just came out of nowhere. Like, what? It's school again? And then my parents. My sister is also going into high school with me this year. She's a freshman, I'm a junior. So they got like tons of emails. They were feeling quite overwhelmed. Our district is doing like half and half. So it's definitely different and it's definitely new. So yeah, I mean, I'm only 2 days into it, so we'll see what happens, but it's been interesting.
Hi again, I'm Kayley. My school has been doing completely online. The entire district is online right now just because of health and safety. We're in California where the virus is a bit worse than some other areas. So what we've been doing is synchronous Zoom classes, and I've been in school since I think August 10th. I think a bunch of other schools started on the 19th around this area. And it's been going pretty well. People are much more happy with synchronous Zoom classes than last year when it was just given work to do at home. So I'm pretty confident about the school year. And during the summer, I was actually really looking forward to it because I didn't really have much to do.
Okay, thank you. Ryan?
I was excited and very confused on how my school was going back. I was excited to see all my friends again, but it's very confusing, in my opinion, how our school decided to do it, or all of Leon County. What we're doing is block scheduling. So on one day, we go to first, third, and fifth, and then the next day we would go to second, fourth, and sixth. And when you have days off, like this Monday was for me, it gets very confusing on which day you're supposed to wear, what class you're meant to be in.
Okay, great. Thanks. Appreciate that. You're jumping ahead a little bit though. So let's back up for just a second, and we'll look at as far as how your district is handling learning this year. So a couple of you guys already addressed this a little bit, but Eli, what exactly is your district doing? How are you guys learning this year?
Yeah, so we're doing Group A and Group B. So Group A goes to school Monday, Tuesday, while Group B learns online. And then Group B goes to school Thursday, Friday, while Group A learns online. And then Wednesday, nobody goes to school. It's like a cleaning day, but we're doing it like pretty confusing. We're having like 15-minute intervals for our classes, and it's like break here, break there. And I don't know, I think it's just too confusing, but I mean, it's my second day, so we'll kind of see how it works out. But I mean, some kids need that type of direction where you have to be like telling them to do stuff like at all times. But I kind of liked it when I got my teenager sleeping hours. I got to stay up till 12 and sleep in till 12. And then as long as I was getting the work done, like it was completely fine. But now it's more organized, which some people like and some people don't really like. But it's second day again. I can't really judge much off of it.
Okay, great, thanks. And Kayley, you talked a little bit about your what you're doing all online. Do you want to talk any more about what the structure is this year?
Of course. So I'm actually doing an alternative program within the district called Middle College. So it's kind of a hybrid between high school and college classes. And so basically, our schedule is actually really nice. We're doing a block schedule. So basically, on Monday we have English, and on Tuesday we have history, and then we have like a kind of advisory and college planning class on Wednesday, and then we have English and then history again. So that's the high school classes. And then for college classes, everyone has their own unique schedule. So for me, I'm taking environmental science, so I have that on Monday and Wednesday mornings. And then I have math. Math is an asynchronous class for me. So it means that the professor posts lectures online, and basically we can go to office hours if we need, and we work through the problems on our own. I feel like the schedule's really nice for me because I usually get to sleep in pretty late, at least 9:30 every day, as well as getting the synchronous classes, which personally I feel like I learn best when I can actually discuss with my teacher and kind of learn more similar to an in-person classroom style. So that's what I've been doing.
Great, thanks. And Ryan, you talked a little bit about the structure. So you're going to 2 classes, I believe. You're going to school, and are you going every day? I can't remember.
So I go to school every day. So my school, the way they do it is our school colors are green and gold. So like every green day, we go to first, third, and fifth, like I said earlier, and then every gold, we go to our other classes. And then depending on where you fall in the school, it depends on what lunch you have.
Okay. And Eli, I think you said you're going to school as well, right? Or you're going 2 days a week. You're going whatever days your group
We go
goes.
2 days a week. They split the school up in half.
And the other 2 days you're learning at home.
Yep.
Right. Okay. So a couple of you guys have already answered this a little bit, but how anything else you want to say about how it's going so far? I know, Eli, you're just on day 2, so you're still sort of figuring it out. Ryan, you sound like you're kind of working through some of the just getting to understand the system a little bit. Kayley's got a bit of an advantage because she's been in school for a month, but any of you want to say anything else about how it's going so far?
Personally, I feel like it's going pretty well. I'm thankful that we can do online because I have one of my family members has a compromised immune system, so I wouldn't want to put them in danger, and I probably wouldn't be able to go to in-person school. But that's just personally my opinion. So I know a lot of other people have different opinions of whether they want to go back to school, whether they would like to stay how the system was in the spring, or kind of try to improve it in a different way.
Okay, good. Well, we'll get into some more specifics. Well, you guys will have a chance to talk more about a variety of things here. And I actually forgot to introduce myself at the beginning of the webinar. Sorry about that. I'm Christine Jones, Associate Director of Global Literacy at Benetech, and I work mostly on outreach and support around Bookshare, which all of you are Bookshare users, I know, and we'll get a chance to talk a little bit about how that is going to be helping you this school year as well. But let's talk about, Kayley, you mentioned the spring. let's talk a little bit about just how your district is doing things differently this fall than they did in the spring. Just give me a quick summary of the differences between what it was like the learning situation in the spring versus now. Eli, want to start?
Yeah, so we were all online in the spring, so it is different, us being half online and half at home. But yeah, that's really it. I don't have much experience with it, so we'll see what happens.
Kayley?
I was kind of doing a different model of school last year, which was half high school, half college, but not through the middle college program. That was kind of on my own. So I knew the high school classes went online as usual, which was fine. And then all the college classes did too. Actually, in March, they just said everything for the rest of the year through the summer semester would be online. So that was kind of nice. We knew that was happening, but I know with the Maine district, everyone was really confused and no one knew what was going on. Because sometimes they would say we're doing this, and then another person would just say we're doing this, and the parents would get certain emails. So it was kind of confusing for everyone, and no one really knew what they were supposed to do when. So yeah, it's much better now.
Ryan, how about you?
So back in the spring, we went fully online, and most teachers were just reviewing what we learned earlier in the year. But now, since most of the school is back in person, we're trying to pushing back in. But Leon County is also doing, some people wanted to go back to school all days, so that's what they're doing. Some people didn't want to go back at school, so they're online and Zooming into their classes. And then other people sort of wanted just to kind of leave Leon County and go Florida virtual.
Right. I remember hearing that you all had 3 options there as far as schooling. The families could pick one of 3 options. So that sounds like it was a good thing for families to be able to select the way they wanted their kids to learn. So great. And so let's talk a little bit about your specific classes and your teachers and how they're doing things this year, this fall. What's working well for you so far? As far as how your teachers are handling your specific classes, and then we'll get to what isn't working. But let's start out with the positive. Let's start out with what's working well for you, Eli.
Well, as I could tell, most of my teachers are very understanding, which is good. So I think. I mean, we shouldn't have a problem. I shouldn't have a problem with my teachers, I think, but we'll have to see.
How are they structuring the classes or your learning in a way that you think is going to be helpful so far?
Well, I've only had 4 classes so far, so, and each of them was like, tell me about yourself problems or something. But it seems so when you're online, you're like on a Zoom call with the people in the room. So, you can hear them talk and they can hear you talk. So you're like there, but you're not there, which is pretty cool.
So you're Zooming into the classes on the 2 days that you're at home and you're learning at home, you're Zooming into the classes. And the B group or whatever the other group is in the classroom with the teacher live, and you're Zooming with them. Okay, good. And you like that so far?
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Kayley, what about for you? What's working well about how your teachers are structuring things?
So what's working really well is that everyone is super understanding and cooperative, and I feel like that's really important in a time like this. So they're very accommodating. So I know in California we've had some power outages. So teachers are very understanding if you're unable to do certain things because you don't have power, and we also had a heat wave. Another thing that is actually pretty nice that we do is it's 1 class per day for the high school classes. So it's kind of more organized. You don't have to juggle, like, when am I supposed to be in this class? It's just log into one Zoom. The teacher covers all that we need to do for that day, and then we log off. So usually it's around an hour and a half. We usually don't go over that. And sometimes the teacher will split us into 2 different periods. So some people will come in for the first hour, some people will come in for the second hour. And that's kind of really nice for us to do like smaller classes, as well as they also put us in breakout rooms so we can kind of get to know who's in our classes, have small discussions. So it's kind of like we're in a little virtual classroom, and we can still talk to people and be social. So I really like that. And then for my college classes, 2 of them would be asynchronous, so it would be math, and I'm actually going to take a fitness class for PE online, so I'm not sure how that's going to completely work. In the past, what they've done is they sent us little exercise sets that we can do, and sometimes there's like live yoga classes and things like that. And then for environmental science, my teachers basically, we have 2 classes in the morning a week. It's usually between 9:45 and 11. And so we just have little discussions, there's a presentation, and my teacher, especially my environmental science teacher, is very organized. Everything is all in there in Canvas, and it's really nice. It's easy to navigate. And everyone's very nice and cooperative and understanding. So I feel like that really helps.
Great. Thanks, Kayley. Ryan, how about for you? What's working so far?
Everyone else has said so far, the teachers have been very understanding of this is a new time. Not everyone knows what's happening. But what's also really nice is I get sick a lot. I've missed many days of school. So now that everything's on Canvas, if I still miss a day, I can catch up without having to miss too much work and try to figure out what I missed.
Great. Yeah, I think we were talking yesterday about the fact that your district has kind of focused on the one learning management system, Canvas, and is putting everything online so that if they do need to close down for some reason, everyone's prepared for that, which sounded like it was a really smart idea. And I know we're going to give you a chance to show your Canvas dashboard a little bit later. Just thought that would be of interest to some of the folks attending. So awesome. Let's talk about you guys, you personally. So it has been a heck of a year, and you all have been amazing. I know when we chatted, many of us in the spring, or chatted with a few of you in the spring, there was a real dedication to staying up with your classwork. You guys, I have to say that the spring webinar that we did with Ryan, you and Elias and Emery was very inspiring. And Kayley, you've already convinced me that you're the same way too, just dedicated to getting through your schoolwork, no matter what the obstacles, no matter what's happening. And that's super impressive. But at the same time, I know you're not superheroes, and this is an incredibly complex and challenging time. So talk a little bit about how you're approaching this year differently, perhaps than in the spring, or what your mindset is going into it, so that we'll be able to just kind of get a sense of how you're handling things.
So my school was all online in the spring. So coming in and having it was rough coming into school. It was rough transitioning to online and in school. You have like the already hard aspect of starting a new year in school, but you're doing it in 2 different ways. So I'm kind of just going with the flow and seeing what will happen. But I mean, I'm sure it'll work out.
Okay, excellent. So it sounds like you're approaching it with some optimism at this point, and some flexibility, which is great. Great. Kayley, how about you? How are you approaching this fall, this school year? Is it different than you approached it in the spring? Is there anything you're doing or any different approach that you're taking this fall?
It's pretty much the same, but since I am a junior, I have to think about colleges, and if you want recommendations, it's really good if your teacher actually knows what you look like and who you are. So I've kind of been I always participate in class. I'm really excited about learning, and anyone who knows me can tell you that I just never stop talking about different things. So what kind of helps is my school, they do a lot of little small discussions, which is really nice. And then all the teachers actually have office hours from 12 to 1 p.m. every single day. So if you have any questions or anything, they basically have time where you can log into their Zoom meeting, ask them things, they'll help you. There's also different resources, because I know since it's partly through the community college, they have like a writing center, they have a learning center, they have tutors who are set up and coordinated with the professors and the different courses, as well as they also have a disability resource center, and they've been great. I've had no issues whatsoever. I kind of just give them my documentation, and they just said, great, what do you need? And it's worked out really well so far. So I've kind of been doing the same thing. So kind of to answer the question in a better way, just keeping track of my calendar and saying, okay, what do I have to do? What can I do now so that I can work ahead on it? Things like that.
Great. Ryan, how about for you?
So I've been really right now just going with what's happening because most of my teachers have never done anything like this. One of my teachers is constantly complaining about the block schedule. So I'm just kind of just sitting there and trying my best to stay focused for about 120 minutes on one thing.
Is that hard? Is that hard to, do you think that's too long?
Well, it depends. Since being dyslexic, my Spanish class is a little difficult for me, but I don't think I could sit through that class for 120 minutes because that's when my lunch is halfway through it. And that would be difficult for me trying to understand and comprehend everything that's happening when I'm just in Spanish 1.
Okay. All right. Good. That makes sense. Thanks for sharing that. So speaking of dyslexia, I wanted to give you all a chance to talk a little bit about your technology use and what you're using. I'm going to give you the chance to share your screen, show us a little bit about what you're using to succeed this school year in terms of tech, and both, certainly talk a little bit about how you're using Bookshare and how that factors into your school day and your school week, but also any other technology that you're using that you think is helpful that you'd like to show. So Eli, do you want to start us off? You can share your screen there.
So I use like 5 different tools. I'll give you an example of 2 of them right here. Okay, so say I get like a question. I would underline this question and I would use my Chrome extension right here, read and write, to help me answer it. So this is just a toolbar. It's really cool. You can underline things or highlight things. You can do just tons of stuff on this, but what I really use it for is that it can read me things. So if you hit this button right here.
How many countries use the imperial system?
And then I can use text-to-speech to answer it. There are 3 countries that use the imperial system. And then that's so if I get like tons of history questions from a unit, I can use read and write to read the unit, or I can have the book up on Bookshare so it can like read me the chapters, and then I can just copy and paste into a document and then answer them with text-to-speech. So really 2 tools that I can't live without. I haven't gotten my books yet because I haven't actually been in school. So when I do, I will certainly put them into Bookshare. Mm-hmm. And then one other tool that I just recently got is my school district gives us Chromebooks, but over quarantine, I weeded old people's lawns and sold paintings, and I got enough money so I could buy a MacBook, and I figured it would be a good investment to like having college or I don't know, just the future. So what I kind of modified it. So there's like a touch bar up here, and I put a text-to-speech thing on the text on the touch bar. So now I can go into anything and use text-to-speech, which is really big because I used to have to open up a document and voice type in that document, then copy and paste in that document, and then put it where I wanted it to go. But now I just completely miss that step, and it just makes things much faster, and it's really awesome. So yeah.
So you're using text to speech to read the text out loud and see the highlighting of the words, and that's through read and write. And then read and write also includes the microphone that you use for speech to text, which is where you talk into it and it types for you, right?
Yeah.
Is that part of read and write as well?
I don't think it's not part of read and write.
Oh.
Read and write reads the things for you.
Okay. It's just part of your computer system.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And can you talk a little bit about why that helps you, why text to speech and speech to text are so important for you?
Well, my brain is quite complicated, so that's a hard question. But I mean, I have a hard time typing. If I didn't have text to speech, I would be like, it would be super slow. Same thing when I'm texting friends on my phone, I use text to speech. And anytime I can, I use read and write. It's so awesome to help just read things for me, and I use it all the time. So
Awesome. And somebody actually just pointed out in the chat that the microphone is part of Google Docs. Probably it's a Google part of that system. So, but you have the ability to use speech to text in pretty much any program on your computer now, right?
Yeah.
Because of the features that are built into the Mac that you're using. And that works nicely for you, it sounds like.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. Okay, great. So that's super helpful, and we appreciated getting to see, how exactly you're learning. Kayley, you want to show us what you're doing?
Yes, let me just share my screen. Okay, so here is basically I usually use my tablet to read my books through Bookshare. So I will download them as DAISY text files through bookshare.org, and then I will click a button, and then basically it will allow me to copy the book file and send it to an app called VoiceStream. And this is a really good app because you can choose the audio, you can change the speed and the pitch of it, and I really like that. I usually use the voice Samantha. That's just the one that I usually use. And then you can also change the font. So I always use Open Dyslexic, and I increase the font so it's easier to see. And you can also add bookmarks and annotations, and I find that really helpful because everything is just in one place, and I can refer back to it. Also, if I'm taking an in-class essay or anything like that, and I have my book, it's much easier for me to search for certain keywords to find a page and a quote, instead of looking through all the pages because I have visual processing and it's just really hard for me to do that. So Bookshare is really helpful. I also sometimes will read on iBooks, but that is not as convenient because you have to highlight all the text that you want it to read to you, and you have to do that for every page. So I prefer using Bookshare with VoiceStream.
Great. So that's Voice Dream Reader. That's an app, and you're just showing some screenshots that you took from your iPad, right?
Yeah.
Right. Awesome. Thank you. We really appreciate getting to see those because I think a lot of folks may not be familiar with VoiceStream and how it integrates directly with Bookshare and allows members to access Bookshare books right within the app. And you actually are downloading them from the website and then opening them in VoiceStream, which is interesting. I think you can also just log into your Bookshare account within VoiceStream and find them that way and access them that way. But if that's working for you, that's great. Awesome. And so let's see, I think you were going to show us something else as well, right? Wasn't there something else?
Yes. So I also, for my school, I'm having an asynchronous class, which is math. And so we have this program called WebAssign that's linked to our textbook. So basically they give you homework and they call them labs, which are basically just classwork to work on. And so they give you different prompts, like you have to fill in the boxes and they tell you what to do. And then they have this feature where you can click the button and it will show you the textbook. and where it is in the textbook. And so the textbook actually has a text-to-speech feature, but unfortunately the homework questions do not. But I think you can use Google Chrome to read it to you. So here they have different options. So you can increase the text or decrease it, add bookmarks and print, and then they also have voice text.
In this section we see how limits arise when we attempt to find the tangent to a curve or the velocity of an object.
So that's kind of how the textbook works. And you can also add little notes. So you can click on the full book to read the entire book. You can add highlights, and you can write little notes and things like that in the notebook. So I find that's really nice. It's working pretty well for me. I was a bit apprehensive at first, but it's actually pretty nice because you don't have to flip through the textbook or carry a textbook that weighs 20 pounds around all the time. So that's one nice thing about learning through Zoom. So yeah, that works pretty well. And I actually really like this program. It's kind of new to me, but it's working out really well so far.
Awesome. And so that's great. So that's obviously not really it's not really advertised as an accessible product per se, but it actually does have some accessibility features to it. As you mentioned, the ability to have the text read out loud. It's unfortunate, as you mentioned, that the questions can't be, but I think your point is well taken that Read and Write, the tool that Eli showed, laying over on top of your website, should probably be able to read that text as well for you. So yeah, so it sounds like you're making it work for you, and that's super. Thank you for doing that. Great. Ryan, can you show us a little bit of what you're doing?
Yep. So this is Canvas. The main thing this does is organize all my classes. So as we can see here, my English teacher, she gave out an announcement informing us what needed to be done. And sometimes you can't see all of it because it cuts off, so you just have to click the top of it. And this is my English. What I really like about Canvas is I can see the calendar, and that will somewhat tell me what I need to have done. And I have forgotten assignments before on like weekends. So this is just nice so I can look ahead and go, okay, I finished. I've turned in my forms. I'm going to be given a homework assignment on Friday. But it's very nice. Each teacher can pick what you see in like their class section. So like my math teacher only has modules, and then ClassLink, which is just another program we use. You can also click courses and it will individually show you what pops up. I've been told by some of my friends that Canvas is not for everyone, but me personally, I like having all of this here because like I said earlier, I get sick a lot and now I just have it. And then I also wanted to share, and this is how I listen to Bookshare. So what I do is I get it from Bookshare and then put it into Dropbox so I can, and then I usually put it into iTunes.
So you download them as just pure audio. I remember you prefer just audio books, and then you have them, as you say, in your Dropbox, so you can access them from pretty much any device that supports audio. And talk a little bit about. I also
usually have it just on my iTunes on my phone because I listen to audiobooks. It seems most of the time in the car is my prime time because I would get ahead of like my school books because of this.
Great. So so I can see that's the book 1984. I think you were mentioning yesterday that that's a book you're reading for one of your classes right now. And I think you said you found all your books for the school year in Bookshare.
I did find all of my books for this year, which kind of surprised me since some of the books I hadn't even heard of before.
Awesome. And so you download them all in audio, and then you can listen to them, anywhere anywhere,
Yes.
anytime, and learn that way. So that's awesome. Talk a little bit about why reading an audio helps you.
The reason reading an audio and just having just listening to it helps me is that I'm an auditorial learner. So me just following along doesn't really do much. I learn just by listening, and I usually extremely multitask while I'm listening to books. So like in class, I'll follow along or do my math homework because I can still listen and then do math at the same time.
Awesome. Thank you for explaining that. I think it just helps people to understand, why some of these tools and technologies are important to your success as learners and as learners who are really striving to be excellent students, overcoming, numerous challenges. And we really appreciate all the effort that you're making to approach as you approach the school year. So. Let me see. I had a question in my head just as I was talking. Oh, so there was a question that came in as you all were talking about how you stay organized. What systems are you using to keep yourself organized, to stay on top of your schoolwork? Ryan, you talked about Canvas and the calendar and how it shows you all your assignments and when they're due, and shows you the ones you've already turned in by crossing them off, which is really helpful. But how about for Eli and Kayley, talk a little bit about what are your strategies for keeping yourself organized? And then Ryan, certainly if you have anything to add too.
So my district uses this organizing platform called Classroom, and it's great. It pretty much does the same thing that Canvas does. It just organizes your classes, it's very helpful. So.
Good. So that's working for you so far?
Yep.
Awesome. Kayley, what about you? You're muted.
Here we go. Sorry, what was the question again? I was answering a question in the chat.
Thank you. What are you using to stay organized? What are your systems and what?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I actually use Canvas also. My school's been using it. I've actually used it back in middle school too. I find it really helps me. It's really nice because everything's organized in what week we're on, and it has a calendar. Usually I like the visual calendar because I can kind of see like the different color-coded what assignments I have for what class. And I also just use regular Apple Calendar. We have like a family calendar, so we have classes, so my mom knows not to come in my room when I'm doing a live Zoom class, and so my brother sometimes has his live Zoom classes. So I feel like that's been working pretty well for me. I'm kind of used to using Canvas. I've used it for 2 years in high school and 1 year in middle school. So I feel like Canvas really works for me very well. But I know everyone's different. Some people prefer a paper planner. Personally, I prefer electronic. It's harder to lose. So. Yeah.
Awesome. So Canvas is a learning management system. Someone in the Q&A was asking what that is. It's just a software or web-based service that some schools are using that is basically a platform where teachers can put all of the assignments and curriculum, and students can access, everything in one place. There are several different learning management systems out there. Canvas is one of them, and glad to hear that it's working for you guys. So that's terrific. Ryan, anything else you want to talk about how you're staying organized?
So I'm a fairly organized person, but I also tell my mom if I have a homework assignment due Monday, don't let me forget. So I'm very organized, but Canvas is helping just when I do forget. And then I saw a question in the chat. I haven't gotten any of my textbooks yet, so I'm not sure if they're on Bookshare, but I know last year all my textbooks were.
Okay, so far you haven't accessed your textbooks for this year, but last year all of your textbooks were on Bookshare, so that's good to hear. Yes, Bookshare has a wide assortment of textbooks, and if there's a book that is needed for school that we don't have, we'll get it for you and add it to the collection. So any teacher with a Bookshare account can make that request, as can a student can request a book, and we'll get that added to the collection so that it can be read that way. And Eli showed Read and Write earlier, and that tool actually lays over on top of Bookshare Web Reader and adds additional functionality to read Bookshare books, which is really a nice reading experience as well. Eli, there are a number of questions in the chat about your Mac and about what you're doing to make your Mac work and the toolbar and things. I don't know if you want to address that a little bit more. Somebody actually requested if you could make a short video of what you're doing too, which maybe you could do after this.
Okay, yeah, well, so I know, I think the 2019 Mac and the 2020 Mac have this like touch bar. It's like, and you can go through your settings and you can add things to it, like you can add emojis and all sorts of cool stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's I think it's only on those two models, but I could be wrong.
Okay, great, thank you. And you'd been using Read and Write ever since since when had you been started using Read and Write?
Well, I actually went to a private school up until 8th grade, and I came into public middle school, and then they got me set up with all these tools that I currently use.
Okay, so you've been
yeah.
using them for a while. So prior to the pandemic and prior to school closures and all that, you were already using that. And Kayley, you mentioned using Canvas in middle school. So I gather that except for the math, perhaps, that you're doing, the math tool that you're using now, most of the tools you're using, you were also familiar with prior to school closures in the spring?
Yeah, it really helps to be familiar with it because I kind of already know all the tricks with Canvas, so I don't really have much problem with that. So, yeah.
Okay. And Ryan, is there anything that you're using now that I guess Canvas is new to you this year, right? This school year.
Yes, Canvas is new to me, but that's, I think, the only thing that they've added software-wise.
Right. So listening to your books and audio has been the way you've been doing it for quite some time, I think since
Fifth grade.
Fifth grade. I was going to say elementary school. Yeah, I think from our past conversations, I knew that about you. And somebody asked the question about whether you can change the voices with the audiobooks when you put them in iTunes.
No, you cannot.
Yeah. But are you okay with the voice that you get it recorded in when you get an MP3 file from Bookshare?
Yes, I'm very okay with the voice I get.
Great. Yeah, as I recall, the MP3 and Daisy Audio voices are actually pretty decent. Those files are recorded in audio within the Bookshare system, and so when you download them, they're already kind of a package. The audio is already it's self-voiced basically from within the system. But as I understand it, those are pretty good voices. So glad to hear that that's working for you. Let's see. I'm just going to see what other questions. So there's a question, what kinds of strategies and tools are your schools using during distance learning that you want to continue when schools reopen? So which of the tools or strategies that you're using now do you want to keep using?
We have to wake up at around 6 to go to school, and that's kind of a pain for me. So I go to bed, I need a lot of sleep, so I go to bed at around 8 or 9, so I miss out on some afternoon homework time. So it's been pretty cool. I can stay up later and sleep in earlier now that we are learning at home. But as I said, that's really only one day of the week because now we're on Zoom calls in class. So now,
Great. Kayley, how about for you? What technologies and tools and processes are you doing now when you're completely learning online right now? So what do you hope will continue to be the case when you start, when it is time to go back to face-to-face classes?
Well, something that I've definitely had to work on is time management because if you have an asynchronous class, you kind of have to schedule, okay, when am I going to do classwork because we don't have a set class time. So it's kind of like working on discipline for that. And in the past, I've kind of put things off and procrastinated a bit, which isn't the best situation and thing to do. So recently, I've kind of been planning when I'm going to do my math for the week, when I'm going to do my science for the week. So I kind of have a little schedule that I put for myself, and that actually really helps. So then I get everything done and I don't have to stress about anything. So if the power goes off, there's no problem. So personally, I really want to continue that. As for technology, I've kind of just been using the same technology for a long time, so I'm just going to continue using that, hopefully all through college.
And so do you find that the asynchronous learning segments that you're doing are forcing you to be more disciplined because you don't have a set time that you have to show up to do those?
Definitely. And I mean, since I have half of my classes at a community college, they actually have online classes usually for people who are from a different area or internationally even. And so they kind of have a system set up for that. And they actually have a questionnaire based on like self-evaluation of yourself to see whether you're ready to take an online asynchronous class. They want to kind of say like, okay, are you good at managing your time? Do you usually procrastinate, or do you kind of set a schedule for yourself? So that's kind of really helpful to reflect on. So recently I feel like I've gotten much better of managing my time. So you kind of really need to be disciplined in order to get things done through virtual classes.
That's for sure. Ryan, how about for you? What are you doing now that you hope continues when classes resume? Well, you're already back to face-to-face learning, but I guess what do you hope continues on?
What I hope continues, especially once COVID is done, is that teachers update what they're doing. Because I've had times where teachers don't update their websites. So that's what I'm hoping will stay constant due to the circumstances we're on, and they'll just make it a habit.
And right now they're doing those updates in your learning management system, right? In Canvas?
Yes.
And so that question has come up a couple of times from attendees are wondering, how does the information get into your learning management system? And that's an important point. The teachers have to do their part and put that information in, obviously, right, for that tool to be useful, because that's how it happens. And so you're saying you hope that continues, that level of communication, and awesome. Well, speaking of tips for teachers, I'm going to give you guys all a chance to share just briefly what tips you have for teachers around the country, and teachers who are listening live today, and teachers who listen to this recording in the coming days. What tips do you have for them for the school year? And we'll start out with Eli again.
Well, for my district, I don't think that we should really be experimenting a lot with new ideas because everything is already so confusing. I say we wait a little bit and then maybe go to that, but I don't know. It's just, I think that now is not a good time. Maybe for Kayley, now that they're already a month in, but continuing to add new and different things to already a new and different thing. I guess I guess we should hold off on that for a bit.
Good. Well put. Kayley, how about for you? What advice do you have for teachers?
Kind of just understand everyone's having a hard time, so don't be hard on yourself or students if anything happens. Everyone understands that there's things that happen you have no control of, and everyone will just cut you some slack. So I know it's really hard for teachers now because they don't really know what to do, whether they're doing online learning, if it's safe or not. And so I'm really thankful for my teachers and all they've done to help. My professor actually sent out an email with all of the resources in the Bay Area for students who have either lost their housing or their jobs, specifically through the community college. So I just say, just do your best and collaborate with everyone. We're all in the same boat. We're all going through this together. So also just don't stress about it. Do your best, and that's good enough. I mean, everyone's going through coronavirus right now, so you're not going to be at a disadvantage or anything. We're kind of all in the same boat. So we'll get through this and it'll be better.
Great. I feel hopeful, very hopeful already, just listening to you guys. Ryan, how about for you? What advice do you have for teachers everywhere?
Well, I agree a lot with what both of y'all said. And right now we really need to learn how to walk before we can run or leap, because this is new for most of us. I mean, most teachers are still learning. So maybe for some teachers, they might want to one weekend look through. I know for us, it'd be Canvas and go, okay, this button does this does that. And just make sure that you're used to the resources you are now being required to use.
Okay, excellent advice. Thank you. All right, let's turn it to thinking about parents. So parents have been through quite a bit this last year. Many of them had to become teachers without much preparation. They had to, were thrown into having to help you with your lessons and your curriculum in ways that they hadn't previously. They've been getting all those emails that some of you mentioned at the beginning with changing guidance and direction. So it's been obviously a challenging time for them. So what advice do you have for parents out there? And then after this, I'll ask you about what advice you have for other students, so you can be thinking about that. But Eli, why don't you start us off? What advice do you have for parents out there?
Yeah, I guess continue to advocate for your kid. I think that's super important. Also, keeping your cool and just being understanding that the districts are going through a lot, and they're going through many parents answering questions and doing that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, I guess that's it.
Good advice. Kayley, what about you?
Kind of the same thing that I would say to teachers. Everyone's struggling through this, so you don't have to worry too much. We're going to figure this out and we can make up for it later. I know my mom's having a little bit of a hard time. She's actually homeschooling my brother right now because we didn't know if his middle school is going to be online or in person. So they're working through that actually. And I know a lot of parents had to step in to tutor their own kids and help them with homework. So I think just same thing, cooperation. In the beginning, I was a bit stressed over COVID-19 and if I was going to fall behind in school. But I'm telling myself, like, it's going to be okay. Everything's going to sort itself out. We're all in the same boat together. And just kind of continue to just have fun. I mean, my family has been doing little family activities, and I feel like that really helps us with morale and hanging out. So we'll do like a family movie. Or when the power was out and there was no air conditioning or anything, we actually went outside and we watched a movie for a short time because there was less smoke. But just kind of little activities like that, because I feel like our family's actually gotten closer in quarantine, so we're always together all the time. So, yeah.
Great. Ryan, how about you? Tips for parents?
Just understand everything right now. It's hard, but I know back when Leon County was trying to figure stuff out on Facebook, they would post something saying this is our plan for now, and then people would just bash what they're thinking at that, like, the moment. So just understand, everyone cares about your child. They wouldn't send them to like school so they can get sick. Everyone is caring for the well-being of your child, and everyone's going through something new. That's the main advice I have for parents.
That's great advice. Very good, all of you. What I hear you saying is just we all need to be very patient with each other right now, right? And as collaborative and supportive as we can be. So that's terrific. All right, so let's think about other students now. I'm sure your advice might be somewhat similar, but is there anything different that you'd say to other students getting ready to start their school year or already having started their school year? What do you think is going to help them be successful this year?
I guess advocate for yourself. With me, every year at the beginning of the year, the freshmen would come in a day before everybody else, and I would come in that day and I would do my rounds, talk to every single one of my teachers, and say, these are my problems, these are my accommodations, and I am super ambitious and I want to do well in your class. I don't use these accommodations for excuses, but I need you to respect my problems and help me. So, I mean, I guess that's really important, that if you need help, you do advocate for yourself. You do reach out to a teacher because they will help you.
Great advice. Kayley?
Yeah, I kind of do the same thing that Eli does, which is a really good strategy. I've been doing that since like middle school. I kind of made like a short presentation, and I would ask my teachers to gather, and I would like bake muffins or something like that, and just kind of give a short presentation on what my learning differences are and my medical, because I also have an autoimmune disease. And they were super understanding, because kind of talking to them ahead of time definitely helps a lot. So then they kind of know you a bit and you have credibility. And then just kind of make sure you properly use your accommodations. If you need extra time, let them know a day or two before so they can plan that out. And I mean, I emailed one of my professors and she just said, you can definitely take the test whenever you're ready. This is your extra time accommodations. We're totally going to accommodate everything. So definitely collaboration with your teachers. Speak up for yourself and just do your best. Work hard. There's some situations where you just say, okay, this happened and it happened. We can't do anything about it now. We're just going to let it go. So kind of just have a positive attitude about things. It'll be okay. So, yeah.
Great. Excellent advice. Ryan, what do you think?
One thing that evidently my mom wants to mention very importantly is don't take advantage of the situation right now. So don't like constantly be bailing on your work and go, sorry, had no Wi-Fi, couldn't turn it in. Because eventually they will get to the point where they go, and you need the help. It's going to be a boy who cried wolf. They're going to go, you've said this thousands of times now. This is the last day of school and you've turned in nothing. So don't take advantage. Listen to your teachers, because since I'm back in person, we have to wear masks all the time. So if your teacher tells you to put your mask back on, your break so you can actually breathe is done, do it. They want you to be safe. They want you to be there. No teacher, when you walk into the classroom, is going to go, you're the student I'm going to get this year. You are the student that I will pick on. No one's doing that. So just understand that everyone is on your side I would say.
Great. Thank you. I think we're just about at time. I just wanted to mention there were a couple of questions that came in about Bookshare specifically, and we're actually doing a webinar tomorrow that will be a Bookshare 101. So I hope that many of the people attending today can join us tomorrow to learn the nuts and bolts of Bookshare, how to make the most of that tool. And you all are really an inspiration. I think Kayley actually had to jump off and go to a class, so we'll say goodbye to her another time. But you all are a great inspiration and really impressive in your efforts and your dedication. And we're just so thankful that you could spend this time with us and share your insights and experiences. They've been very helpful. So thank you all. Anything, Eli or Ryan, you want to say in closing?
I think I'm good.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Thanks to all of you, and thank to all of you who attended our presentation today. And we wish you all the very best and look forward to supporting you through Bookshare and other ways this coming year. And we'll be back in touch soon. Thanks, everybody. Have a good year.